Students, hi, this is Mr. Bob. This is the first of three short videos that we are offering to you to help you help you build your collision predictor app. This first video, we're going to talk about the distraction phase or the distraction part of the problem. And so let's jump right into it. First of all, I'm assuming you're at Google Sheets. And first thing you want to do is make sure you title your file. I'm going to call it collision predictor app. And I always like to have students put their name in the file, but please check with your teacher to see if they have any naming conventions they want you to follow. And this goes true for just about anything in this video. If at any point in this video I say something that's maybe slightly different than what you think you heard your teacher say, or if your teacher is giving you slightly different instructions, check with them if you're unsure to make sure that you're doing what they would like you to do instead of what I'm telling you to do in this video. Okay, so for the distraction phase, first of all, we want to set this up with headings across the top. So in A1, we're going to say part, okay? And that's going to be something that we put in that first cell. This should be actually 10 point. Next over, in the cell B1, the next column over, we're going to write description because we're going to be describing the different things, the different quantities that we need. In C1, that's where we're going to put our inputs. And our inputs are going to be in this green color. And the next thing, when we have calculations that the spreadsheet fills out for us, but it isn't a distance, a final distance, we're going to put those in that column here, and we're going to use this color here. Notice I'm just going to this fill color symbol, and I'm just picking the color, and I'm picking colors by random. And again, if your teacher has other color choices they want you to use, please listen to them. And then finally, the last part here, the last column is the distances, where we're going to calculate the distances that the vehicle travels at different points, okay? And for the distances, we're going to use this just light purple color. Okay, on the left here, we want to identify which part this is. This first part is the distraction part. So notice I've just taken my cursor, I've pushed down with the mouse or the touchpad, and I'm holding down with one hand while with the other hand I scroll down. I'm going to go all the way down to row 8. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use this little merge cells button. Do you see my merge cells button here? I'm going to click on that and notice it's all merged. And I am going to make this text kind of big, and this is, we're going to write in distraction here. Okay, notice if you're doing this, it might look like this and you don't have it all the way enough room in the column. Just a nice little tip that I've discovered is if you go up here to the top, right between columns A and B, notice where my cursor is. If I quickly double click on here, it'll automatically size it for me. The other thing I could do is I could just click down, and while I'm holding down, I could scroll left or right on the touchpad, and notice what happens if I scroll right, it becomes bigger. If I scroll left, it becomes smaller. Okay, once I've got that right sized, I want to make sure that I give it a certain color to help me just distinguish it from the other phases, and I'm going to choose the cyan color here. Okay, so now we're ready to kind of move into the sort of description of these things that we're doing. And again, we're going to put a title here, moving while distracted. I'm putting that in, actually, I don't like that. I'm going to put it in column B3, okay? And if you notice here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to right size this. And this is important, so I'm going to actually bold this. And again, I'm going to right size it by double clicking. Now, one of the first things we need to input here is the speed of the vehicle in miles per hour. Okay, and I'm going to put it just like that. Speed of vehicle miles per hour equals. In my class, we talked about an example of a vehicle moving initially at 30 miles per hour. So I would type in 30 here. And as we said, all our inputs are going to be in green. So I'm going to highlight it in green. I'm going to put MPH at the end. Now, one of the first things we want to do is we want to change that. We want to convert that to meters per second, M/S. Okay, one other thing I forgot to mention, if you look here, these should be right justified. So I'm going to go up here to the alignment, come down here, I'm going to right justify them. Notice it says right, and it just moves it so it's to the other side, butt up against the other side of the cell, like so. Okay. Now, this is a calculation, so we're going to put the result in here, and I'm going to actually color code this already just to kind of remind myself. Your teacher and you may have gone through some sort of process on how to convert from miles per hour to meters per second. In my class, we did it, and we came up with the result after doing the sort of multi-step calculation. We discovered that 1 meter per second is the equivalent of approximately 2.2 miles per hour. Okay, so again, 1 meter per second equals 2.2 miles per hour. So that means if we take our, and this is a really key thing in one of the powers of spreadsheets. If I hit an equal sign here, and I'm just going to not list the 30, I'm going to list the cell C4. So notice I click here and the C4 automatically appears. Just want to show you, I can also just type in C4, it does the same thing. And so if 1 meter per second equals 2.2 miles per hour, if I take my miles per hour value and I divide it, the slash, by 2.2, and then I hit enter, it will automatically display for me the same speed in meters per second. I'm going to put m/s here. Now I need to clean this up because I do not want to show that many decimal places. It's a false level of precision, so to speak, we could say, but that's really not so important for this. But what I want you to do is notice it says up here, decrease decimals, increase decimals. I'm going to decrease the number of decimal places, and I'm going to decrease it all the way to just 1 decimal place. Again, your teacher may have different ideas. Listen to your teacher if they have different things they want you to do with that. Okay, so I've got the speed of the vehicle, miles per hour. I've got the speed of the vehicle, meters per second. The other thing that we need to input here is the time of distraction. Time of distraction equals, I'm going to right justify that as well. And that's another input, so that's going to go here. Color code that green. You did some experiments in your class. Every class probably has different numbers. I'm just going to make up a number here. Again, use your own number, not the one I put in here, but I'm going to put in 2.5 seconds. Okay. S for that. There's the units. So with those, with the time of distraction and the speed of the vehicle meters per second, I have enough information to figure out what is the distance the car moves while distracted. So I can type in distance vehicle moves distracted equals. Again, I have to go ahead and right size this. So I'm going to come up here between B and C and double click, boom. And that's a distance, right? So that's going to come all the way over here. We're going to color code that cell in purple. Now, if you recall the mathematical model that helps us in this scenario, when the vehicle is moving at a constant velocity while the driver is distracted, is the idea that the distance equals the velocity or the speed times the time. So I'm going to code that into my cell. I'm going to say equals. My velocity or speed is this cell right here because I want it in meters per second. And I'm going to multiply it, that's a little star symbol, by the time, which is C6. Notice I've got D5 times C6, not the actual numbers, because again, that will help us later on when we want to look at different models and different inputs. So I hit enter and I get a value. I want to clean that up again by displaying a more proper number of zeros. And I want to put a distance on that at the end. And so there you have it. We have for this scenario with the inputs that the car traveled or the vehicle traveled 34.1 meters while the driver was distracted. Okay, so that's the end of this video. I suspect you probably want to go on to part 2, which is the reaction part of the app. One quick little joke. I just discovered recently that there's a student that's allergic to bread, but they eat it anyway. And I guess you could say that makes them a gluten for punishment. Ha ha ha. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks so much.